Hi, I'm J.J. Panzer with the Real Management Company here with our Senior Agent Josh Silverman to talk about in-law units in single-family homes in San Francisco.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about the hazards of renting unpermitted, unwarranted in-law units. There's obviously a difference. We've talked about warranted versus unwarranted in-law units. Illegal units are units that haven't been allowed by the planning department and the building department to be used as a second apartment within a single-family home or a small multi-unit building. A lot of time people come to us looking for more information about what to do with their home, either as a regular single-family home or as a single-family home with an in-law unit. And we try to tell them over and over again that having an in-law unit seriously affects the value. And why don't you tell us a little bit about how having an in-law unit affects the value of people's homes?
So a lot of people are overconfident about the value of their property with a illegal in-law unit because the market is so hot. Everybody reads the same stories. You can sell anything at any time for any price. That's not true. When there's an illegal unit and it's occupied, it greatly decreases the value of the home. There's a ton of issues that you have to look at when buying that property that don't exist when you're buying a vacant home.
A vacant single-family home is an easy plug-and-play asset.
Yeah, so you're immediately buying a house. You're immediately becoming a landlord. You're involved in San Francisco rental laws, and they're complicated.
10 years ago, 15 years ago, it used to be possible to simply declare that you wanted to remove your illegal unit from use. And you'd pull a permit, remove the kitchen, and the tenant would have to leave, and that would be the end of it. And the tenant bar latched onto this concept that because it's not warranted, it's not habitable, and therefore they can file a lawsuit against the landlord or threaten to do so, that would require that the landlord return all rent that has been paid throughout the entire tenancy, plus seek damages for illegally renting space in their home. And the hazard of renting one of those is that by virtue of the fact that they don't have the proper permits, they are by definition not safe and not habitable, regardless of whether they actually are safe, regardless of whether anybody is likely to be hurt by stepping foot into them or living in them on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that people don't understand is that over the course of the last 10 years, things have changed pretty dramatically in terms of the tenant bar's approach to dealing with illegal units.
Well, in a nutshell, the most valuable home is the single-family home without an in-law unit, just an expanded home, bigger home. The second best value is a legalized home with an in-law unit, vacant though. That's also very important. So people come at different stages of this process, whether it's occupied or vacant or whatever it is. Third is selling a house with a legal in-law unit with one of the spaces occupied, and then the least valuable, and I'm talking on the for a sale, is when both units are occupied, and that's the worst. And so really, I try to steer, if I have an opportunity, I try to steer my clients towards an expanded single-family home, because
right.
That, from a price per square foot standpoint, that is the most valuable asset.
Absolutely.
The most valuable property.
One of the things that people don't understand is that having a fully occupied 2-unit, single-family home, a single-family home with a legal second unit, that property is fully rent controlled if it's built before 1979. And most homes in San Francisco are built before 1979. And so the effect of that is that you can't get those units empty.
Right.
And so you are forced to get the lowest value for sale or to continue operating it and getting whatever cash flow you have without the opportunity to raise the rent to market at any time.
Right. So I would make the argument that the rent you have earned over the course of having those 2 units occupied or 1 unit occupied does not outweigh the loss in sale value.
You'll never make up the loss of sale value.
You'll never make it up.
Yeah.
You'll never make it up. And
yeah.
So you have to think long term. You have to think when you're going to sell it. And if you know that for the next 4 generations all your family's going to want to have that unit occupied, keep it occupied. That's fine, and just keep passing it down the line. But if you want to sell that house at some point, it's best to get it vacant and join those 2 spaces as a single family home.
And if you're living in the upstairs space, for example, and you have the downstairs in-law unit rented, that's fine while you're living there. But a lot of times people come to us when they're ready to move out of the upstairs space and they think they want to turn it into a legal apartment. Let's make it an apartment building, a 2-unit building. It's not worth it. You shouldn't do that. You should make it an expanded single-family home, merge the 2 spaces, make it the largest it can be. One of the other reasons why that's useful is that if you choose to rent the house as a single-family home with the 2 spaces connected, you are able to change the rent to market every year because you're not subject to the rent protections from rent control. You are only subject to the eviction protection that means that you can't give the tenant a no-fault notice to move out for no reason that they violated a term of the lease. So it's important to remember that single-family homes are not subject to rent control. You can renegotiate the lease, you can increase the rent, you can get a new lease every year, as opposed to a rent-controlled unit where a rent-controlled building, if you have a single-family home with a legal second unit, that is a fully rent-controlled building, and if you move somebody into it, you may never see that unit again without either having to go through a buyout or declare the Ellis Act on the building and keep it off the market for 5 years, which is another rabbit hole that is very expensive and difficult to recover from. So
I mean, essentially, I completely sympathize. I understand how attractive it is to invest $100,000 into your house and get $2,500 in rent. The numbers make sense, but they don't for the long term, and that's what's really important. So we come in and we take a look and we weigh all those options, and we're looking at short term, we're looking at long term, and we're looking at rental law implications. I mean, those are huge, and I see it all the time. I see listings languish on the market because of this issue. Whether it's both units occupied by long-term tenants is the kiss of death, but even one can really kill it. It just won't sell. A lot of times people, when they want to understand the value of their house, they go to sites like Redfin or Zillow or Trulia and things like Zillow. They come up with a Zestimate, and basically they're just pulling public record data on the house. And public record for a house that has an illegal in-law is not showing the space of that illegal in-law.
Bonus space in the downstairs.
They're showing the original construction of the home. So if the home is 1,000 square feet and they built 500 square feet of illegal space, the Zestimate is only going to pick up the 1,000 square feet because that's what it shows on public record. So the number that comes out is actually going to be not accurate.
And it's going to be way low.
It's going to be low, and it's going to send you down a path that is incorrect. So it's really important to come to an agent and say, here's my house, here's what I've done to it, here's the history of it, and here's all the space, legal and illegal, and all those factors taken together determine a true value, and computer programs can only do so much.
Well, and the other thing that the computer isn't going to be able to accurately capture is the status of a unit that's occupied in a single-family home that's not supposed to have an occupied second unit. Yeah. And we can help you. If you give us a call, we'll come through and talk to you about ways to position the property accurately and effectively to get the most value out of it so that you can sell it without tripping over some of these wires that will cause you to lose time and money in doing so. And give us a call if you have any questions about whether you should legalize or not, whether you should continue renting the home or sell it. We'd be happy to do a consultation and talk a little bit about what the pluses and the minuses for your specific situation would be. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thank you to Josh, my guest on the show today. It was great talking to you. If you have any questions, give us a call at 415-821-3167 or visit our website at rmcsf.com. We'll be happy to come and chat with you anytime. Take care.